First of all, why is the NSE 20 share index making such small gains? It's almost negligible.
Well, my feeling is that investors are now going slightly defensive. We are approaching elections. Of course, we expected this to start happening around June.
Yes.
But with the elections pushed to March next year, then it means that there's been a lag. And I do expect that we're going to see a bit of defensiveness going forward. I also think that banks usually peak around this time because they announced their half year and 3 months down the line. And so we should see a bit of a slowdown on that end, which means we could see a bit of profit taking, but not really aggressive buying on that end. So I think that would also be having an effect on the market.
EABL is controlling the market right now. 76% of turnover. Yesterday, 100% of them are foreign investors. What's happening in that counter?
Well, I think it's just they're seeing EABL's outlook. The fact that EABL has aggressively gone, regional,
yes.
and the fact that they have done a lot to do with their costs, and also they're looking at, moving some of their manufacturing processes to the local markets where those products are actually consumed. So I think that is actually hitting investors, on a positive note, and that is bringing in their interest.
The other counter, which surprisingly took a dip, 2.5% down yesterday, despite raising $37.7 million in debt, was Centum Investment. It didn't tell us what it needs this $37.7 million for, but it says there's some good opportunities in the pipeline, that its cash position that cannot support those. What did you make of that news?
Well, Centum has been already in the news saying that they're going into the real estate.
Yes.
They have some developments in Nairobi, in Uganda, and they have also said that they're also looking to go regional. And so I think that this is really what they're looking to invest in, and this is what they're raising the funds for. And I believe that, it is really, investors will look at whether they feel that this is, when they do expect the returns to start coming in. And since it's very development-oriented, I know that usually, development-oriented investments will tend to take time before they start to bring in returns.
Yes.
But I don't think that was the direct reason why Centum's stock would have gone down, and so I'm not really trying.
Because that came out much later on in the evening.
Yes.
And then that said, they're mostly fixed income fixed interest rates. Was there anything unusual there for you?
Not really. I think they needed to attract the funds for
yes.
one, and a fixed interest rate tends to attract the funds. And seeing that interest rates have been on the, going down, and so chances are that will give investors a bit of a level of security. Secondly, the fact that they need a certain term, because this is for development, this is for investment, and so they need at least that 5 years, and they needed to ensure that they did get those funds, and I think that was one of the reasons why they went for that interest rate.
Michael Waweru, he's the former CEO, is a former Commissioner General, as they were called, of the Kenya Revenue Authority. He's the second largest shareholder in East African Cables, and he's just been appointed by TransCentury onto the board of East African Cables. What does this, it smacks of, I don't know, read this for me.
I don't want to read too much into it.
Yes.
But yes, I did think it had something to do with the fact that he has a lot of holdings in there.
Yes.
I do think that anyway, a lot of the time they probably feel that having so much, stake in the company will, of course, make him quite aggressive in making sure that it does give him some sort of returns. But let me not comment too much on it, because at the end of the day, it's done. And to be honest, I do think that it has a lot to do with the fact that he has a very strong hold on it.
All right, so we'll leave it there. Let's talk about the IMF's projection of a 5% economic growth this year and into 2013. Of course, the election is one thing they're still concerned about. Do you agree with the projection?
Well, personally, I've been quite aggressive
Yes.
to the detriment of some of my fellow analysts, and that is because I'm looking at various factors. The fact that in as much as interest rates and the economy did see a very, last year, towards the end of last year, we didn't see that much of, say, defaults on the banking sector, because they they restructured all the loans, and so that continued to show growth on the banking sector. And so we are really seeing a re-acceleration rather than coming down from a slump in growth in most of the companies. We haven't seen many companies actually announcing dips in their profit or that much slowdown in their profits. I think the real estate sector will also have a level of revamp now that investors can borrow. Tourism, coffee, tea, all those are also looking at a good year, and
sure.
So my feeling is I'm still being quite optimistic. So I still feel that the Treasury and IMF are rather on the right track.
Let's finish off quickly with the shilling. It's still coming under pressure, and this is typically to be expected at the end of the month. How do you think it opens the new month next week?
Well, I think it will hold. The government is being aggressive. They now know what could happen if
yes.
they don't act on time. And so this time, I think we can see the action early enough, rather than last time when it was reactive. They're being proactive. And so I think that at least we do expect that the shilling will...
They will not watch it slide and slide to 107 like we did in October last year.
If they do, then we are looking at a decline rather than a growth of 5%, as
yes.
we were saying, and that would actually reflect terribly on them.
Maybe when they meet next time, another rate cut. Who knows? The monetary policy
maybe
committee.
Slight, or I would bet that they might hold it for now, because the shilling has come under a bit of pressure since they did the rate cut, and so they don't want to do too many rate cuts, because that would then put too much pressure on the shilling and also on them. So I think they will probably want to just probably hold it for another few months and see how that goes.